Self-help maven Gretchen Rubin is here to build a few shrines to happy. She's the creator of the Happiness Project, her newest book, Happier at Home, your other one, a bestseller, your blog, Off the Map, this book on the list.
Yep.
So a part of making a happier home, I know you're going to say, is clearing the clutter.
Well, it's one of the things that continually surprises me is the degree to which outer order contributes to inner calm more than it should. Because you think, okay, having a lot of stuff in your fridge, having a crowded coat closet, in the scope of a happy life, it's trivial. And yet over and over people say to me, and I certainly feel for myself, that getting rid of that clutter, it makes you feel more energetic, more creative, happier. There's just something about clutter that gets in our way, it brings us down.
Does it ever? But to eliminate is difficult for so many of us because we see the little pink flamingo. That you had one, right? It was your grandmother's?
Yes, but mine is a precious pink flamingo. It's
okay,
not,
of course it is.
But I got rid of everything else, Yes. Well, that's one of the things, I think, is to really say to yourself, do we need it? Do we use it? Do we love it? I love my pink flamingo, which for me is like a big memento of my relationship with my grandparents. But there was a lot of stuff where I thought, use it, love it, need it? No. And those are the things that you need to give away, recycle, or just toss.
Absolutely. And wasn't it Frank Lloyd Wright who said elimination may be just as meaningless as elaboration, perhaps more often it is so.
Yeah.
So if you're a procrastinator, how do you get around it?
Well, this is the thing, because I think a lot of times people think I need to take an entire weekend and clean my house from top to bottom, or it's going to take me 10 hours to clean out my garage. So one of the things I do in Happier at Home is to go shelf by shelf, which means, you know, when you have those sort of 10-minute bits of time, like you have to leave for an appointment, but you've got a little bit of extra time, or you just and when I would find those sort of loose crumbs of opportunity, I would just look at whatever shelf was in front of me, whatever drawer I was in front of, whatever closet, and just try to say, really look. Don't let it fade into the background the way our homes usually do, but really say, every single thing, is it in the right place? Do I even know what it is? You know, all those cords that you have where you're like, I have no idea what that cord goes to.
Exactly.
And so to just chip away at it at little bits of time at a time, and it's surprising how after a couple weeks of really trying to do this whenever you can, you start seeing the surfaces reappear.
I know, and it's a feeling. It's a good feeling, and you're so proud of yourself.
You are. And another thing is that clear areas tend to stay clear, and messy areas tend to stay messier, especially if you live with other people. So if you have an area where that's just a tower of junk, that tower is just going to get higher and higher. But when you clear it off, it stays clear.
So what do you do, Gretchen, if you live with Messy Bessie?
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Messy.
Well,
and you're an order freak. Or your kids don't even understand about mess, do they?
Yeah. Well, I think this is one of the most common tensions in the home, is where people have different standards of orderliness. Now, there's a lot of different things to do, but it is true that if you create sort of a base level of order and you get rid of a lot of junk, a lot of times other people will come along with you. Now, there's some people who are just so confirmed in their messiness, they're kind of a different category. But I think for the most part, a lot of times, people don't hang up their coat because it's really hard to stick the hanger in because there's too many coats there. Or they don't know where to put something, so they just leave it out on the counter. And the more that it's very clear that it's easy to put something away and you know where it goes.
Right, but from what I understand, you also build shrines to things.
Yes. Well, you know, I think it's oftentimes people sort of minimize the importance of possessions to happiness. They say, I'm not materialistic, I don't care about stuff. But in fact, for most people, possessions really do play an important role in a happy life. So in order to increase my engagement with the things that I loved, I decided to build these shrines. So for example, I love children's literature. So I put, instead of having just my books of children's literature here and there all over the apartment, I made a shrine, alphabetized them all, put them all together in a beautiful way. And now it's so much more exciting. I love that part of my home.
It's almost art.
Yeah, absolutely.
In its own way?
I feel like that, exactly. And it's not that I own anything that I didn't own before, but just by meaningfully arranging it. So you might have a shrine to travel, or a shrine to
jewelry.
Yeah. Oh, I have a friend who has a beautiful.
I have one of those.
Oh, right. And it's so much more. It's exciting then to see all your beautiful things instead of just tossing them, you know, into some drawer.
In a drawer. Yeah. Where you can't see them every day. They don't bling at you in the morning.
Right.
Now your kids, Eleanor and Eliza.
Yes.
You decided to take more time to have special moments with them.
Yes.
Happier home. happier kids.
Yes.
Happy wife, happy life.
Yes,
you know?
yes. Well, with my younger daughter, I had sort of a special time every morning because I would walk her to school, and my older daughter went to school earlier, so I didn't have time with her in the day. And so one of the things that I decided to do was once a week plan an adventure, and I would pick up my daughter from school on Wednesdays, and we just go off and do something special together. So it's quiet, it's pleasant, we're not distracted. And that way I make sure that I have that one-on-one time that was I really wanted to have, but until I actually put it on the schedule, it just wasn't happening.
Exactly. Do you take her to museums?
A lot of times.
Does she want to go there, or do you drag her?
Well, we take turns, actually.
Okay.
We surprise each other every Wednesday afternoon. And so, one time she picked a department store. And I said, I'm not saying I'm going to buy anything for you, but if you wanted to go look, she wanted to just look at the jewelry. And it was actually kind of fun, just to really see it through her eyes. And so sometimes she picks and sometimes I pick.
Okay, but you found that wonderful sculpture, Dwellings.
Yes.
Which was in the museum, was it?
So it's this amazing, I was just blown away. So part of it, it's like this tiny landscape. It looks like a gigantic landscape made tiny. Part of it is in the museum, and part of it is you look out the window and it's across the street. Two parts of it are across the street. So it's a piece of art that's actually inside and outside of the museum. It's beautiful.
Great.
And
Part of the installation.
Yes, and there are these tiny dwellings, landscape dwellings. They sort of look like, southwestern cliff dwellings, and they're beautiful and monumental yet tiny.
So it's a way of educating the kids.
Yes.
Having special moments.
Yes. Yeah, and just making sure that there's time for that. Another thing that we did, again, very easy, doesn't take a lot of time, energy, or money, is holiday breakfast. So for minor holidays like, Valentine's Day or Leap Day, I put out a few holiday plates. I put out a centerpiece, maybe some candy, because my kids are so young, they still love having candy at breakfast.
Of course.
And I use food dye. I dye the eggs green or the milk pink or whatever. And we just have a holiday breakfast. I take a picture. It's really festive and fun. But for people who don't have a lot of time, energy, or money, it's very, very manageable to do.
Yes, absolutely. And you said, I think Thoreau said it, I love a broad margin to my life.
Yes.
Which means what?
Well, I think people want this feeling of repose and unhurriedness at home. Like they want to slow down. They want to feel like they have time to goof off. But everybody's just racing around. You're constantly trying to cross things off your to-do list. Or you're always working. You feel like you could be working or should be working, so you don't have that sense of repose. So by a broad margin, I think it's like making sure we have plenty of time to get where we're going, making sure that I get up early so I have time in the morning before my family gets up to get myself organized, making sure that I disconnect from technology at certain key times, so that I feel like I have time to slow down, I have time to engage.
Tigger and Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh, the optimist and the pessimist.
Yes.
You write about them, about weeding. Well, I don't know if you can weed a pessimist out of your life in your home.
Right.
You can do it at the office or
Sometimes.
ignore them.
Yes.
Sometimes, but not always.
Yes.
The Grouches are alive and well.
Yeah, yes. Well, the Tiggers and the Eeyores, there's some people that are just on the Tigger side. They're just at a higher place of happiness. And the Eeyores are down in a different place. And what I kept hearing from people is that the Tiggers and the Eeyores would clash. And the Tiggers would try to convince the Eeyores to cheer up, and the Eeyores would try to convince the Tiggers to be more realistic, and not see, have these rose-colored glasses. So I think what it really helps is just to allow people to be the way they are. Don't feel like you need to convert them. Don't exhaust yourself trying to convert them, and just acknowledge their point of view, because people want to hear that you understand what they're saying about whatever it is.
And whatever works for them works for them. Whatever works for you works for you. So endeavor to be who you were made.
Yes, exactly.
And let him be who he was made.
Yes. Because the thing is, you just exhaust and deplete yourself trying to convert somebody to a different frame of mind. And it just rarely works.
Take judgment out of your life. Try that.
It's a huge challenge, I think about that all the time.
Me too.
It's very hard.
What global nerve do you think the Happiness Project, the blog, the book, has hit? Why so popular?
Well, I hoped that this would be true when I started writing about happiness in the way that I do, but I wasn't sure it was going to be true. is that it seemed to me that a lot of times you think you would learn the most from happiness if you read big philosophical treatises about all of human nature or big scientific studies that covered big populations. But I think actually people understand it best when they consider someone else's very idiosyncratic experience with happiness. And when I think back on the people from whom I've learned the most about happiness, it's Samuel Johnson, Saint Therese, Benjamin Franklin, Julia Child. People very, very different from me, highly idiosyncratic, but it's from them that I learned most about myself. And I think by writing about my own experiences, even though I'm both extremely ordinary and highly idiosyncratic, that's how people learn the most about themselves.
Sure, and you say life is too short not to have a brownie, unless you don't want a brownie.
Yes, for me, life is too short to have a brownie.
Exactly.
Yes.
So we'll have to figure that out. But does happiness make you happy?
Sometimes.
I knew you'd say that.
Yes.
It's a great book. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for writing it. Happier at Home, New York Times bestseller. What's
Yes.
next?
Oh, I can't. I'm too superstitious to say, but it's
Okay.
going to be. It's not on the subject of happiness, but it's highly related to happiness, and it's a super interesting subject.
Great.
That's all I can say.
Well, great. We'll come back then if it's super interesting subject, because that's what we like. Gosh, the famed sex one. I have to read that.
Thanks
you.
so much.
Thank you. Gretchen Rubin, our guest. And remember, you can join me on Twitter at Fanny Kiefer or catch our conversations on YouTube. There will be many more happy guests to come. Till then, thanks for watching Shaw TV and being with me today.